Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make the hair that I made for Ibrahim here, and just to make it a bit easier to see, I'm going to be using this brown yarn instead of the black, just so it's a little bit easier to see. So first I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to start with my 3.25mm hook and my yarn. This is going to start how most of my pieces start and how the head shape usually also starts. So I'm going to start with a magic loop, wrap twice around my finger, bring my hook underneath the two loops, grab the yarn and pull it through, and chain to secure that. And now we're going to work 6 single crochet into this magic loop. There you go, that's 6. And we're gonna pull it closed by pulling on these tail yarns. Close one loop and close the second loop. Now I'm just going to increase this circle, working each round as an increase round. So the first round I'm going to increase in each stitch, which is working 2 single crochet into each of these 6, so I'll have 12 at the end. And then for the next round we'll increase every other stitch, and then the next round after every 2 stitches until we have the total number of stitches we need for our base. So I'm going to do that real quick and then I'll show you what to do from there. Okay, so here we are and we have our circle. This circle is worked up until 42 stitches in the round, and then 1 round of just single crochet all the way around. So to make our hair, what we want is to fill out the middle so that even when we make hair on the edges, the middle is still going to be looking like full and nice. So to do this, it's super simple. All I do is I turn the work around, and then I start working surface slip stitches, just in a kind of zigzag across the piece. It doesn't matter where you start or how many stitches exactly you have. You're not really looking for a stitch count here. You're kind of just trying to fill out that space. So to do that, I'm going to take my hook, and then I have my working yarn underneath. I'm going to insert my hook into a random space, like right here, somewhere close by the hook. Insert all the way down through. I'm going to yarn over so it catches the yarn. Pull up a loop, and then just slip stitch into that. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to move a little bit further away. Yarn over. Pull through and just slip stitch just like that. So I'm going to work kind of all the way down like this row across the top here. So I'll show you again. Insert, yarn over, and pull through. Now when you get to the end, you're going to want to turn, so we're going to work our last one here. I'm going to rotate the piece around, so we're working back this way now, so we're going to go diagonally, or like back this way across our piece. Insert your hook. And just continue working slip stitches like this. You want to keep your slip stitches fairly loose so it's easy to get to the next spot without it pulling or puckering your fabric too much. It should stay flat. You're just pulling it up and then just hold it as loose as you need it and then just slip stitch through. So then we're going to turn again. We're going to get to this spot. I'm going to rotate. You have one right there, and then we're just going to keep going. So the more space you fill up here, the more zigzags you create, the fuller the top of the hair will be. So if you want it to be pretty full, you just work a couple zigzags back and forth. If you want it to be less, you can work wider zigzags so they take up less room. Turn, and then I think this will be our last row right here. So I'm just going to insert my yarn. Okay, so we're going to work all the way into the last space now. We're going to work into an actual stitch from our last row. So we're just going to chain that, pull it through, and slip stitch. So now you see you got a zigzag pattern going across. And now we can use this to work in our actual strands of hair. So to do each strand of hair, we're going to chain 4, and then we're gonna work a single crochet into each of those chains, starting from the second space. So you'll have three single crochets. So 1, 2, and then 3. That's into the first. You're going to skip this spot and just work into the next stitch, slip stitch, and again 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, skip the next space and where is it? Skip this space and just go ahead and insert here. So you have 2 strands of hair, slip stitch. So now we're going to continue this going all the way around the hair again until we get back to the edge. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around. If you want the hair to be even fuller, instead of skipping a stitch in between, you can just go ahead and work your last slip stitch into the next space. So then you're working a strand of hair into every single space instead of every other space. It's entirely up to you how thick you want to make it. So let me show you one here. So after I've made that last single crochet, instead of skipping this spot and working into this stitch as I normally would, I'm just gonna work into that first space and I'll slip stitch. So now you can see how much space is in between these two. Now if I worked this next strand, you'll see that it'll be placed just closer to the first one, making it look more full. And then into the next one, slip stitch. So yeah, you can see like there's a little bit of room here between these first two, and then the second two are closer. And see how they're a little bit closer than these ones. But yeah, just continue working whichever way you like, either skipping one space and going into the next, or just going into every space around. Just work all the way around until we get right back here to the first stitch. Okay, now that you've worked the strands of hair all the way around and you are back here where we started, we're going to start filling this part out. And to do that, we finished our last strand here, and instead of slip stitching down to the base again, you're going to slip stitch into those surface slip stitches that we worked right here. So to do that, you're just going to insert your hook underneath the the actual slip stitch, pull up a loop and slip stitch, and now you're just going to work your strands of hair like normal. So we're going to chain 4, and then single crochet 3, and then again when we're gonna bring this down, we're gonna work into each of these surface slip stitches. So we're just gonna insert into the next surface slip stitch, create our slip stitch, chain 4, and single crochet back through the chain. And now you can see how that's making a row of hair stand up in the middle of your piece. So once we have it all the way down along this end, it's going to fill up the top, so it's not going to look empty, and this is going to look as full as however many like zigzags you make, or how far your zigzags go until the end. So yeah, I'm just going to finish this up. Just continue working your hair strands into each of these slip stitches along the top, and if you wanted to do longer hair, you could just chain more and then work back your single crochet so that you have the longer chain coming out, and that'll just give you longer hair. If you wanted shorter hair, same thing, just do fewer and you'll have shorter hair. But yeah, I will continue doing this, and at the end of it you should end up with something like this. So I'm going to take off his hat. I just had that pinned on, so you can see here I did the exact same thing. Here is my outside ring right here all the way around, and then I just zigzagged my way back and forth across his head until it was as full as I wanted. Just like that. And if you finish doing your thing and you think there's not enough, you can just add another line of slip stitches around or wherever you need it, turn your work, and then just keep going back down that same way. That's all there is. So yeah, I hope you guys like this. I will finish this up and show you what it looks like, and then yeah, you can go ahead and use it for this pattern or for any other pattern. And here is the finished piece. I went through and I worked my strands of hair into each slip stitch spot, and then when I got to the end, you just slip stitch into that very last space and pull your yarn all the way through, cut it. If you were actually attaching this to a doll, you would leave a long tail yarn to sew it onto the head. But here is how it looks when it's all finished. When you're sewing it onto the head, you can leave, you don't want to start sewing directly at the edge. It looks a little bit better when you sew further away from the edge, so that these strands of hair can still move around and still hang loose. You can style them so they lay flat and go down, or as I did with this doll, you can style it so they move up. It just gives you a little bit more flexibility. But yeah, that is the finished hair. If you like this, you can get the full written pattern over on my blog. In the pattern for this guy, which is Ibrahim the Imam, I'll have a link down below. But yeah, I hope you guys like it.